Hey guys, I am super excited because we get to do another one of these chats. For those who might have caught it or seen it in the community, I did a chat last night actually, with Keith Lee. Today I get to talk to Dan Dalstra, and then tomorrow I'm actually talking to the Marinos. And Dan, I remember you specifically said you want to go before the Marinos.
Yeah, they're so killer, man. At least start low, aim high, right? So that's good. It's good.
No, it's fun, man. Actually, it's fun because I get to do three this week because I'm trying to catch up. We actually were trying to do this a couple of weeks ago. We had some technical difficulties. So thanks for doing this. I know in between you got to go to India. Actually, you went on a trip.
Yeah, India was amazing, and it was sort of. It's hard to say that India was a last minute trip, but about 2 weeks before that, the guy was like, "Hey, what are you doing? You want to go to India?" And like, I guess so. Sure. So it worked out my schedule, my wife's schedule, and it was all good. And hopefully in about maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be kind of announcing what that was about and some cool things for photographers and everybody. So life is good. Yeah.
That's awesome, Dan. I'm excited for you, man. I'm excited to see what's coming down the pipeline. I know I got a little bit of a hint of it, and I think people are gonna be super stoked about it. So,
I mean, it's cool and it's different. So anyway, enough about that. More on photography, but yeah, life is good.
well, hey Dan, before we go any further, tell everyone where you're from, man.
So I live in El Paso, Texas. Been here about 7 years. Love it. I didn't know anything about El Paso before we moved here, and my wife was like, "Hey, what do you know about El Paso?" Talking to the people in El Paso, and I was like, "I don't know anything about El Paso." And so we moved here, and it's been great. It's nice to live in a place where it's so varied in culture and food, and I love it. So it's good. It's good.
That's awesome. I've been through El Paso. I landed in the airport and I went to Marfa. That's
Oh yeah,
about all, yeah. That's about all I've done with El Paso though. But it definitely had food.
yeah. No, so the next time, you got to stop by. I think Timothy's been out here to help me out a little bit, and well, I think it's just a great area, and I'm thankful to live here. In fact, we had some relatives in town this past weekend, some of my wife's family, and I told them bring their passports, and we walked across the border into Mexico and hung out over there for a little while. So, I mean, it's
Nice.
so cool to be able to pop over.
That's awesome, Dan. Hey, so your friend Crystal Stokes, I should say our friend Crystal Stokes, she says I'm the only one here. That was I think she was the first one on.
So a friend of mine just messaged me and said that they can't get in. It's freezing up on them, maybe, on the Facebook. So we'll
Uh,
see. Yay, Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal says she's in here. Jason says he's in here. Dan M. Lee says it's Dan. You got
Hey.
Kristen Swanson. Kristen Swanson saying is Dan is the man. So you got all kinds of friends.
Good, good,
I,
excellent.
so awesome. Well, hey Dan, we were just briefly chatting before, kind of a little pre-chat, and I just saw so many incredible images that you had. And normally we try to share 4 or 5, maybe 6 images, and I was telling you I just want to hit as many of these as we can.
Yeah.
So this might be a little bit different format than we normally do, in that we'll talk maybe less about the images, but kind of go more rapid fire possibly, and see if we can share more. And people just love to be inspired and be taught. And so, you cool with that?
I'm absolutely done with that. I picked out maybe 20, 25 pictures. They're a little bit different. Some are kind of similar theme, but we can just go through and when you get tired of me, just hit delete and we'll go. So
Dude, that sounds awesome. Seriously, like it's funny because the guys next to me are like, "Whoa, 25 pictures!" But I'm excited about it because there's so many good ones. I promise you guys, it won't take 3 hours. We'll no.
yeah,
So
my
right
wife
on.
can't even talk to me for 3 hours, so we're in good shape.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Dan, and by the way, real quick, guys, before we get started, if there's anybody that is watching live, well, actually, I shouldn't say if there is, the people that are watching live, guys, throw those likes and hearts and all that kind of stuff up there for Dan. If you guys have questions, I got my phone here. I'm just going to check it every once in a while and see if I can squeeze in some questions. So if you guys have a question about an image, by all means, feel free to post it. And if we don't get it in the live chat, myself or Dan will look in the thread later on and be able to answer that for you as well. So
Happy to do it.
right on. So Dan, with that, I want to get started. And the way I want to get started, Dan, is I want to tell you that when I'm out doing photo shoots,
Okay.
towards the end of every shoot, after I've done sunset, after I've done a few nighttime photos, I always think to myself, I got to do the Dan Dalstra shot. And I literally call it that because you were the one that inspired me to start doing it. And what it was is, and I saw one of the examples in your feed, so I hope we can share this one.
Okay.
It's where the light is basically bouncing off, one person's cheek and illuminating the other person. So you got a couple, it's bouncing off their cheek, it's illuminating. And in fact, we actually use one of those shots that you created. One of my favorite shots. We use it in our MagMod video, like an ad that we have running on Facebook. So I think a lot of people are familiar with it. Can we start with that shot and you can tell us about it?
All right, here, let's take a look here.
And
Let's
yeah,
take a
there you go. Showing the screen.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes, that's the one.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. This is one of my favorites. And just, I do this all the time. I love the backlight. I love the way the backlight looks. And I always try and aim it a little bit to where she's got a white shirt on, and I try and bounce a little bit of that light, just enough to illuminate the face of the other person. And it's super easy to do, super easy to set up, and it works well just about every time.
So Dan, on this shot here, are you photoshopping a light stand out of the photograph, or is it off frame a little bit so that you don't have to?
It's directly behind them, right? Just directly behind the couple. The light's aimed a little bit more towards her than him, or I have her actually just turning out her chest just a bit. And because of the way the light is, and it's way after sunset, you can't see the bottom of the light stand because of that hill that's in shadow sort of behind them. So yeah, no, it's just back there. I try to make it to where I don't have to Photoshop as much as I can, basically because I'm terrible at Photoshop. So if I can set it to where I don't have to do that, then life is good.
Especially when you have a lot of elements in your shot, like the rain and stuff, it just makes it a lot more difficult, or like tree branches, things like that. So last thing you want to do is try to Photoshop that out. So that's awesome. Dan M. Lee is asking, is there an orange gel that you used here?
No,
do you remember?
No orange gel, just the mag sphere about 10 feet or so behind them. I really wanted to spread that light out as much as possible. It just started to sprinkle, had this beautiful sunset and sort of those kind of clouds that roll in as it started to sprinkle, and just kind of all came together, in sort of one photograph is that we all hope for, right? And worked out.
I'm guessing this is probably 20 minutes after sunset. Is that right?
Yeah, easy. Yeah, for sure. Because it is facing directly, directly back. The sun is behind those mountains back there, so it is definitely sunset.
That's awesome. And did you say, I can't remember, I think you mentioned you had another shot that was similar to this, similar kind of lighting style. Like now, when you finish up your shoots, do you think to yourself, oh, I got to do the Dan Dalstra shot as well?
Although lately I think, man, this is the shot I do all the time. Maybe I should try something else. And then I have clients ask for it. But wait, when do you put the light behind us and take that picture? So I do that sometimes. Here's another one, full on rain.
Nice.
Same thing, right? Lights bouncing off them and back illuminating their faces. It was pouring down rain, but they were good sports and said, "Hey, let's do it anyway." So I always appreciate that.
That's awesome, man. You're getting a lot of comments on those photographs. A few people are asking. Vicky had asked whether it was a mag sphere or mag bounce. I think you had said it was a mag sphere. Is that right, Dan?
Yeah, the sphere. I use the sphere a lot. Not so much the bounce. I use the bounce more for like indoor group shots. That seems to work out well for those. But yeah, just the sphere. Same thing here. The sphere, because it spreads that light so evenly out that it's really good especially for the rain. And it's so funny. I live in the desert. It hardly ever rains in the desert. But I seem to be kind of known for these rain shots, for one thing or the other. But yeah, I mean,
you got to take advantage of it, man, when it comes. See, if you're up in Seattle, people be like, oh, another rain shot. Like, that's a lot. You got Kristen Swanson was wondering what aperture. Do you remember, do you shoot at a wide aperture, or you breaking it, you closing it down when you have this rain, or what do you normally do?
That's probably something I don't really pay that much attention to. I usually shoot somewhere in the 2.8, 1.8, 1.4 if I have it. But I kind of sort of just gauge on how the light's looking at the time, and so not that I can remember, but this is probably a f4, 5.6 kind of shot.
I find myself doing a lot of times I'll set up my light exactly how as I want it, and then I'll just adjust my aperture without, so I don't have to go adjust my flash power. I'll just be adjusting my aperture and not really worry. It seems like at sunset or after sunset, I'm not so worried about shooting wide open per se. Like, I don't mind if more is in focus. So usually I'll just use my aperture to adjust my flash power essentially.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I do too. And especially like you said, at sunset or once it's dark, it doesn't really matter that much how big my depth of field is. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
awesome. Well,
thanks,
cool
man.
deal. Well, Dan, I'm gonna let you take lead here. Tell us about, like I said, there's so many incredible photos here. Tell us, maybe pick your next favorite one, or it's like
Yeah,
picking your
yeah.
favorite child. You really can't, but maybe.
We'll show another sort of similar. Like I said, I like to backlight a lot, whether that's a fault of mine or not. But if we go, let's go here for a detail shot, right? We're still lighting up liquids. And I love to do that hairspray shot that we all do. I do that like every single time. Hold on while I light the hairspray. You know, I gotta tell the stylist, let me know when you're gonna get the hairspray out. Um,
Yeah.
in this situation, I knew that she was about to do the whole perfume thing, and I thought, let's try it out. So for this shot, I threw on the grid and put the light behind her and just said, all right, go for it, see what it looks like, and came out with this one. I think it's different, right? And she liked it a lot, and I probably made her put on too much perfume before she walked down the aisle, as I'm like, squirt it in. But yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. So tell us one more time. Then you had a mag grid on this one, just one flash.
Yeah, one flash, mag grid. She's actually being lit by a window that's pretty close in this hotel room. And the hotel room walls are sort of a little bit darker anyway, so that worked out. You can't really backlight liquids with a white background because you can't see them. So
Yeah.
if your hotel room is dark, or you can turn off all the lights or whatever, that works well. But this wall was darker, so that helped. And that's how she's being lit by the face, and the arm is by the window nearby.
So her
Yeah.
face and her arm were being lit by the window, and your flash, I'm guessing, was behind her camera left. Is that right?
Yes,
Yeah, and
that's
that's
correct.
what you just kind of see that for those who are just kind of dissecting the light in this photograph. If you look at the light on her hand, that kind of rim light, it kind of tells you where that flash was positioned. So that's really
Yeah.
cool. It's a great way of balancing that ambient light in the window, but still having a flash to be able to freeze those little droplets and really light those droplets up. It's really cool.
Yeah. I like it a lot. Maybe there's a little bit of a hot spot in her hand that I probably could have spent more time playing with. But she's getting ready to head to the church, and we're in a bit of a crunch time. But I thought, what the heck, we'll try it out, and it's successful. I like it a lot. She likes it a lot, and yeah, it's neat. It's different.
There you go. That's what it is, man. I tell you, there's so many photographs that are just, they work for us and our clients, and yeah, we can submit them to a contest, and somebody might, like you said, might judge and nitpick every little thing about it, but we don't need to worry about that. I mean, we're producing stuff, we're producing art for our clients. As long as they like it, that's the key. And honestly, I would have never pointed out a hot spot at all. This is an awesome shot for sure. So
And it's funny you say that about what our clients want versus what we as photographers see. And I fall into this trap all the time. Like, oh, if I do another hairspray shot, I do another, backlit shot or whatever, which I do all the time. And I think, oh, and I post that, then every photographer I know is going to say, oh, there's Dan posting another backlit shot. But it's not really, I got to think about not shooting for other photographers and think about shooting for my clients. And then I do it, and my clients love it. And they're like, yeah. And that's what drives my business, right? That's who they refer. That's why I get business, because they refer me. Uh, and and so I have to remember to think to myself, shoot for my clients, not for what I think other photographers want to see. If that makes sense.
no, absolutely makes sense. Hey, Joe Peck has a question here. He says, how do you expose for the ambient light for this shot?
Oh, so what I do is I always try and expose for the ambient first. And so I take a shot without the flash, and I try and see, what it's going to look like first and how I want that ambient light to fall. And then once I get that set, that's when I bring in the flash, and then I can start playing with the flash power and adjusting from there. And so if I set my ambient first, I know that's going to be consistent, especially if I have my flash placed where I want it to be and the light falling where I know it's going to fall. Then I can start playing with flash power after that. So I always try and set the ambient first.
Very cool. Thanks for answering that, Dan. I think there was one other question from Richard Hellman. He had asked about using possibly using the MagBeam with the wide angle lens behind, which is definitely a good idea, Richard. I've never done it myself. I don't know if you've done that, Dan. But I think the images that you were showing previously had come out prior to the MagBeam even being launched. So
Yeah, I do have a couple of MagBeam shots I'll show here next, and but I will say,
cool.
I'm thinking about it. Putting the MagBeam behind this might throw too much light around. Does that make sense? And so I would get a lot of light, and in this one I just really wanted a real narrow thing, and I probably could have used the Mag Snoot, um, but I just grabbed the grid because they're so close and handy that's for this one. So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, absolutely. So you
All right.
mentioned the MagBeam. You have an image there with using the MagBeam as well?
I do. So I've got this one.
Nice.
This is actually 3 flashes used for this shot. I've got the MagBeam on a flash right behind the cake, and I've got 2 other flashes with grids on them on I guess camera left, camera right, sort of aiming at the cakes. And then we put one of those little, I don't know what you call them. I should know this, right? The little metal pieces.
Yep, Mag Mask. You got it. And it looks like you did a combo with the gel as well. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, with a purple gel included. Purple was a big color for this couple, so I decided to throw it on there. And it's just a white curtain behind the cake. And it had a little bit of time. It's dinner time, people are eating, and I'm done with my food, so I like to play around at that time. And usually that's when I shoot my cake details and stuff. So it worked out, and I really love the way this looks. It's different than anything else really that I typically shoot as far as cakes go. And they loved it. I love it. It works, I think, and it shows off the kind of different patterns and stuff that I really like with the MagBeam.
Yeah. Well, you know what's great about this is it makes it interesting. The color and the light behind it. It looks like just kind of a white curtain or some kind of color curtain back there. And so you basically just kind of took a scene that essentially didn't really have a whole lot going on behind the cakes, and you created something exciting to look at and really unique. So love it.
Yeah, that's the goal. Sometimes I struggle with that a bit, like as a journalist, as what I consider myself a photojournalist, and as a former newspaper photographer, I would never adjust a scene in a way that it didn't look like originally. But as I sort of get past that and I started adding gels, it took me a long time to add something to the frame, like a different color light or something. But now, I think it works and it's fun to do, and I like it. So yeah.
That's right. That's interesting to think about, because that is your background. Is you started as a photojournalist, right?
I was a newspaper photographer for about 7 years full time before I started into weddings. And really, people had to twist my arm to shoot their wedding at that time. Like, I was like, no way am I going to shoot a wedding. That's crazy talk. But
so as a photojournalist like that, you weren't able to bring around big soft boxes and things. Did you find that getting into weddings, like MagMod was just a really good, easy fit because it made things small and portable and fast and all that?
So what I saw, Trevor, was like when I would go shoot events or whatever, and then I would go and I would have every piece of modifier that would Velcro to my flash, or I had an intern one time at the newspaper make me a couple of those grids out of straws in the cereal box. I sent her home with all the, why are you making me do this? And I'm like, shut up, just do it, intern. And then, and I had all these things that were just in my bag, and I would lose them, and they wouldn't stick on right, for a while I just stopped using them because they were such a pain in the butt. And so once MagMod came out and I saw the Kickstarter video, I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And so I ordered the kit, and it's just the easiest thing in the world to leave it on my flash and pop them on and off, and it just makes it so much faster at a wedding when I want to switch modifiers. It's pretty incredible.
That's awesome. So I was gonna tell you, Joshua Stokes says your voice is like butter. And Crystal wants to know if she can be your intern.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. It's Crystal Stokes is my intern. Perfect. Not only will I make her shoot for me, then I don't have to pay her. So that's really good.
That's funny. For those who don't know, Dan and Crystal happen to be really good friends. So
yeah, she's
awesome.
She's not only a super good friend, but man, I just can look at her work all day long. It's pretty great.
I'll
show you another MagBeam image from the same wedding. This is a couple, and they're really into they wanted a lot of drama. You can sort of tell by her dress and stuff that they like the drama. And so I just used the MagBeam, and that's it. Just that one thing that has a little line in it, and just shot the beam of light just across them, and it's different. It's fun. They liked it. Kind of dramatic. I wouldn't use this for every couple, certainly, but it's there.
You know what though, Dan? It works so well, especially against that red wall. And these are the kind of photos that I love shooting it and then turning the camera around and showing the clients. And they're just
Exactly.
like, they're like, what? Like, how did you create light like that? That's just ridiculous. You know?
It's pretty good.
And they want to tell everyone about you. So
Yeah, no, and again, that's exactly what I did. I'm like, holy cow, look at this, and I turned it around, and they loved it, and so it's good, it's good. And the venue actually really likes this picture a lot too.
that's cool, man. What a great way of taking a colored wall that I'm sure everybody is shot up against and making it totally unique and individual to yourself. So
Yeah, good. Well, let's keep on going.
let's do it.
This
I like
picture
this rapid fire stuff.
What's that?
I said I like this rapid fire stuff. This is good stuff.
Let's go. Okay, here we go. So we'll
Nice.
talk about snooting the light and just sort of highlighting what you want and what you don't want. And I know I've watched several of these of your MagMod live videos, which are so inspirational. And I've seen a few of us sort of do this where we just highlight the groom.
Yeah.
And I really like that technique. And I think it works really well, especially, this is that hour that's just after the sun goes down and the sky turns that crazy blue. And so I really like this picture a lot.
Yeah, I don't know who did it first, but I've seen this be used a lot, and I like to, like I said, I'm probably crediting, I'm sure you probably learned your technique from other people, like as far as the silhouette stuff and things like that. Like we all credit, but when I get inspired by somebody, I'll think about that photograph when I'm out shooting, and I like to think about this when when I'm thinking in my head, like, oh yeah, what should I do with the groomsmen? I'll go, oh yeah, I got to do that Ralph McGowan thing. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
so I name my lighting scenarios after photographers that inspire me.
That's good. So Trevor, you just have like a list of paper. Dan Dalstra, Ralph Nagel, Crystal Stokes. You're just kind of going down the list of photographers that, I got to do that. Yeah.
Love it,
for
dude.
sure. Yeah.
This one's awesome, dude. And I mean, what a great way of literally having these groomsmen kind of playing that second complementary role, but putting all that light right on the groom. So you did this with the Mag Snoot, is that right?
Yeah, that's just the Snoot.
That's awesome, dude.
The Snoot, yeah. And I for a while I've sort of played with the composition and do I want to crop it in so it's just the guys, but I really kind of like that. This is on a golf course, like a crappy golf course, driving range area. But I like the light sticking up in the back, just kind of bounces up. For me anyway, it bounces out.
It totally does, dude. I wouldn't change a thing about it. Amazing shot.
Thanks, bro. All right, let's go again. Ready? Let's go to this one. This is a good one. I don't know why it's small. But here's that same time of day, about an hour after sunset. Not an hour, maybe, 15, 20 minutes after sunset. The sky's that beautiful blue. And this is it's not even a church. This is up in Ruidoso, New Mexico, about 3 hours outside of El Paso, up in the mountains. And this venue it's a nice little wedding venue, but this is just sort of it's probably finished by now. There's like an unfinished little chapel. And so it's all this bare wood. And I just thought it would look really cool if I lit it. And again, this is backlight. It's just the mag sphere behind them inside. And so it lights up that wood in a real beautiful yellow and then contrasts with the sky. And I just think it's striking. It's a striking photo.
It really is, dude. And I've mentioned this on other videos in the past, but I love when there's the contrast of warmth and coolness, that contrast of colors. It just works always. Love it.
Yeah. Great.
And what a great way to use that sky. So just for clarification, then it was one mag sphere. Was he holding it or was it on a stand?
No, it's on a stand.
Nice. And you didn't even use a gel. It was just the warmth was coming off the wood, right?
It's that, like I said, the wood is unfinished. This whole little chapel is completely unfinished wood. Which made and she got ready in this room also, which was a real pain because it was sort of dark. And so I'm trying to bounce light around and it's all yellow. And so I really had to work on getting that out, but it's
nice.
It worked out. It worked out well for that.
Matt Gruber says, "Damn, Daniel."
Damn, Matt Gruber.
Hey, Dennis King was wondering on that Snoot shot with the groomsmen. Did you have the Snoot fully extended? Do you remember, or did you have it collapsed down a little bit, or?
Honestly, I don't remember. Probably, I want to go for the narrowest beam possible.
Yeah.
So I probably had it extended out a little bit, if not all the way, because I want to try and get that small circle.
Yep.
But yeah,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm, I'm going to guess it was probably fully extended because it's such a tight stream of light, and you didn't Photoshop anything here, right? Your light was out of frame.
right, right.
Yeah. I'm going to guess it was fully extended because I mean, the way we don't see any light anywhere else, so it's pretty, I don't know, pretty solid.
There's
Okay.
some ambient
Cool.
around that I darkened a little bit just to get it off the Grimson's faces, but it wasn't spill from my flash. That would have just been ambient.
Yeah.
So I'll
Awesome.
show you a picture. Let's go on and I can show you. Here's a shot, kind of an engagement session shot here. Sort of same time of day, but I have a sort of a before and after. So you can see this is with two lights, both on stands with mag grids on them. And if I flip over, you can see I photoshopped them out. So sort of a before, after kind of look.
Nice. Now, I know the question's going to come in. People are going to think that's the MagBeam because of the way it looks, but in reality, all it is your flashes are just like bent forward, right?
Yeah, and I think you can see on the flash that's on the right, it's vertical. You know what I mean? The flash head is vertical.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's so rad.
And
So tell us one more time. You used what did you use for that shot again? Was it Mag Grids?
mag grids, yes.
Nice.
The
Dude,
mag.
what a simple setup, but such a dynamic photograph, man. I love that
Oh,
sky.
right, and love it, and it helps that the girl's giving us sort of that power pose, yeah, I dig it. I dig it.
You know and I think something interesting about your work that is worth noting as well is that um, a lot of times people will say, okay, once sunset happens, we shoot at sunset and then wrap it up and then go. But I think what's notable is that a lot of these photographs are 20, 30, minutes past sunset, if not longer. And that's why you're getting these incredible blue skies, during civil twilight, essentially. And I don't know about you, but that's like one of the best times to practice using flash and your MagMod modifiers and all that kind of stuff.
It's definitely a great time to go out and play. And even if you're uncomfortable about it's dark and your clients are like, how are you getting anything? And so take out your friend, your girlfriend, your pet, or whatever, and just throw some modifiers on your flashes and just play. I mean, that's such a great time, and the skies always come out so beautifully. Luckily where I live, the desert, there's no trees that much hampering my views of the sky. Um, so you can really get out there and watch that light just go darker and darker, darker, and then really play with your lights. It's super fun. Whoa, that was fancy. I don't know what I did, but I ended up on this picture.
That's all right. Let's talk about this one. I like it.
All right. We'll talk about this one. This is 3 lights. We've got a gel in the back lighting up the red on the wall. We've got a bare flash on the ground, just kind of lighting up the ground because it was wet, and so I wanted some light coming across and giving some texture to the ground. And then another light held by an assistant, which I believe that was a grid. And so I even had to call my assistant and ask him, did we use a grid for this? Because I don't remember. And he said, yeah, there was a grid on there to light up the guys. And so I remember posting this in the community, and a lot of people were like, are you sure that's a grid? Are you sure that's a grid? And so that's why I called my assistant Carlos and said, man, are you sure we used a grid for this? And he said, yeah, I know there was a grid on there. And there's a lot of guys, but they were pretty bunched closely together. And so he didn't have to be too far back for that spread to hit all the guys.
Nice. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even with the one grid, you're getting that control, but you're still it's 40 degrees roughly. So I mean, especially if you're back, 8 feet or so out of frame,
Yeah.
it's spread out, but it's not going to spread out enough that it's going to hit all the walls and the ground and everything else. You're still going to get that control, but more isolated.
Yeah, agreed. And they asked for that reservoir dog shot, that we like, as they walk forward. And could I have done a better job sort of spacing the guys out? Probably, but they're all walking forward, and I showed them, this is another one of those back of the camera, take a look at this, and they're like mind blown.
Exactly.
So yeah.
No, and you know what really makes this image, and it's so subtle, is that red gel in the back, man. It really makes that image stand out.
It's a nice little pop. And so then I was thinking, should I throw in another red light on the other? It's funny. We always look at a photo and we put like a, Monday morning quarterback, and they're like, what could I have done to improve this? Which is how we grow as photographers and how we enhance our craft. But should I have thrown another red gel or a blue gel maybe on the other side? I could have. But then again, I think that'd be too much. I don't know. I kind of dig it like it is.
Dude, I wouldn't change this at all. I love it. I mean, it works exactly as it is. So
Yeah. Thanks.
super cool shot. And there's a lot of people are asking different questions as far as powers and things like that. So maybe maybe after we finish, whether it be later today or tomorrow, maybe sometime you can just jump in the thread and see if you can answer a few of those questions. I will say, guys, just from my own experience, I will say if there's a photograph that I did, last week, sometimes I'll remember the flash power if I, during the situation. But sometimes I unfortunately the EXIF data does not record what flash power we use. So it's one of those things where when people ask what flash power did you use on that photograph, I can usually say, well, typically in those environments, I'll use like 1/32 or 1/64, or, if I had a grid on there, maybe 1/16. But sometimes it's hard to have that exact data. But maybe when you get a chance later today, you can jump in there and kind of answer a few of those. So
absolutely. I'll show you another shot from this venue. Just it's a little bit different. It's kind of similar to a shot we did a little while ago. And this is another one of those 2 lights with the grids on them. And the lights, I have real tall light stands, and so I kind of put them way up and point them way down. And this girl loved her dress. Her whole thing was, I want pictures of this dress. And so I really wanted to kind of showcase the textures of the dress as well as sort of this cool element at the venue. And I think it works. It kind of looks cool.
It's a super unique dress with those lines on it, and then those lines are a perfect complement to the lines on the wall. It's great.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah. Thanks.
Dude, I'm gonna let you keep going, Dan.
All right. Cool. So let's talk a little bit about. I use my grids a lot inside during receptions. Like I love to put mag grids on, just so I'm not spraying light around the room. Mm-hmm. And so, like an example of that might be here. Where we're able to pick up sort of the ambient of the room, but at the same time, light the subjects, pretty well in sort of an interesting way. Does that make sense? So it's not just flooding them with light, but having a little texture and depth of the light as well.
Absolutely. Now the room behind him is very blue. Did you use any kind of orange CTO to make that room blue? It was just that way.
Yeah, the DJ was lighting the room, with the up lighting.
Yeah.
And so that was changing a lot because this DJ tends to change the color scheme of the room a lot during the night, just even based on the song. But I think this is pretty good. It kind of captures it well.
It does. No, it's awesome. I will say for those who are interested, if you don't have a DJ that does awesome stuff like that, you could put like a full CTO on your flash and then change your white balance to, let's say, 2500 white balance, 2500 Kelvin. And essentially what it will do will make your whole room blue except for the parts that are hitting the people. So now all of a sudden that full CTO is going to balance out with the color in your camera, and you're going to get white light on the people but blue light in the background. So
yeah,
it's kind of a fun way to tweak your camera settings. So.
Yeah, you're always good at that, Trevor. You do that a lot, and that's one thing that I should practice on more. Luckily, we've got this DJ who I work with a lot, who I know if I'm working with him that there's going to be good color to play with.
That's awesome. I love good uplights, man. You know what the worst is though is when you see good uplights, but then you see a photographer like destroying their uplights because they're just bouncing flash everywhere around the room. And you're like, no,
all over the place, right? And you just want to go, hey, let's have a little conversation about this. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Here's another reception example of no color in the room whatsoever. In fact, this is a nasty sort of bar where the reception was. But so I tried to get a little low and block it out, but at the same time using my grids to just highlight the people on the dance floor. And I love this moment. It's so fun.
I love the two girls' reactions. Both of their reactions are classic.
I love it. This is sort of, as you can probably tell, towards the end of the night, people are sloppy, having a good time. But lighting wise, I like the light a lot. I probably could have burned down the ceiling a bit more, but just lighting the drops of the champagne and their faces. And this is just all, off camera light with grids. And I think a lot of times what I'll do is I'll have 2 lights sort of on opposite corners of the dance floor. And then if I know I have a ceiling like this, I'll have an on-camera fill that's just bouncing up, and I'll have that on-camera flash zoomed in all the way. So the light that I'm bouncing is not spraying everywhere, but just trying to raining down a little bit softer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's just a little bit of fill in front. I do the similar thing. I'll use the mag bounce for that, and I'll turn it on really low power, like 1/128th or 1/64th at, depending on what my aperture is.
Yeah.
But same type of thing, just a little bit of fill in front when I can get it. I feel like I don't know how Lanny and Erica Mann do it exactly, but I love how it seems like wherever they are on the dance floor, they get this really cool dynamic lighting, but they always have a little bit of fill in front as well. And so that was kind of my inspiration there. I'm not saying that's how they do it, but that was my solution to it.
Yeah, definitely the Mans and Daniel and Davina are really good at that sort of that dance floor craziness that's well lit.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I tend to a lot. Here's another sort of dance floor towards the end of the night kind of pick. Again, just lit with grids.
Nice.
And this room, this is kind of a fun room. They always have these lights, and the other direction, if you shoot from the other way, is just a really ugly green wall. And so I like to shoot back this way just to pick up the lights and stuff. And this is kind of a fun image. I used one of the charger plates on the centerpieces that was, reflective to get the reflection.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
What an innovative way to use that. That's funny. Use the charger plate. That's awesome. Joanne was asking if you're using on-camera flash, and I think you kind of answered that with just, you have the flash pointed up, kind of bouncing off just a little bit. So hopefully, Joanne, you caught that part of the conversation. And then Joe was wondering, he said, what kind of ceiling is in this venue again?
In this particular venue, this ceiling is real high. It's a real high ceiling place, and I think it's, gosh, I can't remember. Maybe Stefan Lemaire or Kristen Swanson can pop in and help me remember. I want to say you can kind of see in the back that there's some white, looks like some white stuff up top. So it might be white tiles, or it might be just like a darker painted tin. And so I can't do a lot of bouncing in this venue.
Yeah.
Because the ceilings are so high. They do have usually a big white curtain you can see to the right that if you're shooting over near there, you can bounce off that. But typically for this venue, I do 2, maybe 3, sometimes 3 off-camera lights to light up the dance floor.
Love it, man. One other thing that I think what's great about your reception shots is that it seems like you're using either a high enough ISO or a slow enough shutter speed to bring in that ambient light as well. So it's like you're incorporating all the ambient, whether it be the uplights or the tungsten lights or whatever it is in that room, but then you're using your gridded flashes to really put that light where you want the focus of the photograph to be. Works.
I think that's important because couples pick their venue for a reason, right? They want their venue because of the way it looks. And so if I can incorporate, their moments, their dancing, with how their venue and how it looks, then I'd love to do that. Unless, of course, they pick a terrible venue and I'm trying to hide all that, then I can do that too. That's the beauty of lighting, right?
Exactly. You got it, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Thanks.
very cool. Can we share some more images? Do you have a few more there that we can go through?
Another dance floor.
Nice.
Again, this is one grid, and I think the big hot spot on the left is the sphere. And I was trying to get this girl, like just trying to jump into place to get her spraying the champagne, not thinking about at that time where my lights are and how I can frame it the best because you don't have time, right? You see the champagne going, you have to jump in there. But it worked out. There's lots of different light coming in all over the place, but it's, to me, sometimes moment, not sometimes, a lot of times, moment trumps technical stuff, right? So if the lighting isn't perfect, the moment sure is a good one.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's a good one. Let's see, where else can we go from here? Okay. So one of the things that I like to try and use a little bit, and I don't shoot a lot of senior portraits, but this is a portrait of a swimmer. Same concept applies as we've been talking about for the last little bit. If we're gonna have some kind of water, whether it's rain or champagne, I like to shoot through it, which is the same thing here. In fact, my kids helped me shoot this picture by splashing in the pool on either side of behind the swimmer, and so it's my kids splashing the water, and I'm shooting through there, and then we've got a grid or I think it's a grid or a sphere lighting up the guy. I want to say grid because I don't see a lot of light on the water itself in front of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Dan, this was shot in some gymnasium.
No, this is an outdoor pool, like backyard pool. Yeah, backyard pool at night. And just a quick portrait of a swimmer. I mean, I like it a lot. It's a friend of my niece's, and I thought, why not? Let's make it interesting. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, super easy to do.
I love that. I love it. There's a lot of people commenting on this stuff. So you got Julia has a question about the 3 flashes, so maybe you can check that out a little bit later. I think it was regarding one of the photos previously. And then Bob Davis, he just said, play and practice are great ways to be prepared and creative on shoots. And it's so true. Like just playing around and practicing, and then that way, when these shoots come up, you kind of have something to reference in the past that you can actually use in your photographs.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And especially like here, we don't get a lot of snow, but when it snows, like I grab my kids and we head outside and I grab some lights and I say, let's do a picture in the snow to see what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
Anytime I can get out there and practice in an environment I'm not used to, I go for it because I don't know when that same environment might pop up at a wedding, So why not? Why not?
Absolutely.
Or even play with the sprinkler in your backyard. It's so easy.
There you got it. So was this the same light as the last one then? So just a kind of a gridded flash?
Those flashes, right? Yeah, I think so. So we got a rim light right behind the swimmer, and then we're lighting him from the front. Looks good.
Nice, dude. It really does. Great shot.
Thanks. Did we run out? Oh, here we go, Trevor. You've been to this venue, I think, before. This is, again, another one of those super easy to do. One light right behind the couple. It's bouncing off his shirt, lighting her face. This is a great couple. The husband actually owns this wedding venue. And so they had asked me for a shot that could showcase not only them, but the venue as well. And they have since ordered a huge canvas print of this that now hangs in the venue, I think. And it's just one light, the sphere on the light behind them, and that's it. Again, after sunset, but not too dark this time. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Like I said, that's my Dan Dalstra right there.
Yeah. That's pretty much it. I'm trying to think if I have anything else in here to show.
Real quick, Abel has a question regarding: do you like to shoot your flashes on manual or TTL?
I'm a manual guy.
Yeah.
When I shoot with a flash on camera, typically I have that in TTL just because I'm bouncing it around and I don't have to worry about resetting it every time I move to a different spot of the room. But my off-camera lights are always on manual.
Yeah.
Always on manual. It's just an easy. That's how I learned to do it, and so it's easier for me to think about that rather than compensation and things like that.
I tell people if they really want to learn off-camera flash, the best way to do it is actually start with manual. I think once you grasp how to use your flashes in manual, like manual power and so forth, it actually makes it even easier if you ever need to switch or want to switch to ETTL. Sometimes ETTL works great, or Nikon's TTL. Sometimes it works wonderful. Other times, if there's shiny surfaces or windows or reflective wood, things like that, it just doesn't work. And so you want to be able to know how to use both. But I think the best way to learn how to use both is by becoming proficient in using manual. So
yeah, exactly. My friends, I don't know if you know, I'm sure you do. Mike Fulton from Tri-Coast is a master at using TTL, and he's always really good about TTL this, TTL that, and I can remember when I first started to mess around with off-camera lighting, thinking, oh, I'm going to be like Mike and do this TTL, and I'm going to nail it, and then I couldn't grasp it right off the bat. And so I just thought, well, manual I can figure out, it's a little easier for my tiny brain to wrap itself around. So that's just the way I've been ever since.
No, I'm with you there, man. There's a couple other questions. Abel, you had a question there. We'll jump in a little bit later and we'll actually answer that. I think it'll be easier to answer it in text. And so for those who are watching on YouTube, what I'm referring to is that we have, right now we're live in our Facebook community. It's called the MagMod community on Facebook. And So if you want to join us there, you can definitely do that for these live chats in the future. And then as we're fielding these questions coming in, we can answer those.
Yeah.
There is one important question from Justin Haugen. He's asking whether it's boxers or briefs.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's hilarious. I'm definitely not briefs, more of a boxers, but sort of a hybrid. The trunks. I like trunks.
Well, we'll just leave that out there.
Okay, good. You know what? I'm gonna show a different photo real fast that kind of has a mix of modifiers on here.
Let's do it.
So this venue used to have, they took it down. I think a kid knocked it over or something, but they're just sort of these hanging sort of glass fixtures. And so for this photo, I have one light with a grid on it with a blue gel hitting the glass fixture. I've got another light with a sphere on it lighting up the couple to the side. And so we've sort of got a mix of modifiers going on here. But I think it's successful. It works. Kind of shows it's just different. I like it.
Yeah. It really is, man. I really love it. You got so many great shots. I think I'm only seeing a small thumbnail, but that shot all the way to the left that has the gold color.
Oh, yeah.
Looks like something. Is that? I think that's another one of the. Okay, yeah. This is another getting ready shot, huh?
Yeah, this is a getting ready shot. And I lit her with just a real super low powered grid, right? Just a flash of the grid, power turned way down. There's a lot of ambient light in here, but what I'm shooting through is the chandelier hanging above the table like it's a kitchen table where she's getting ready. And they had this funky chandelier.
Nice.
And I knew I wanted to try something just a little different. And so I was sitting on the table shooting down to the chandelier. And in order to get the lights of the chandelier, I had to throw some light on her. Otherwise, she would have been way underexposed. And so
that's right.
Yeah, really cool. Just threw the chandelier, threw some light on her with just a off-camera flash and a grid. And yeah.
The one piece of advice I'll give people, if you want to try this, make sure whatever it is if you're climbing up on anything, like sometimes I'll climb up on a table or whatever, and make sure it's very well, what's the word I'm looking for? Anchored, I guess maybe I could say. I one time climbed up on this chest, and I thought, oh yeah, this is anchored and heavy and everything else, and it literally started tipping as I was like on the edge of it trying to shoot a picture of the bride. I almost fell down right on top of the bride. I barely dodged it, but it was almost not a very good situation. So
I did the same thing just on a folding chair. I pulled a folding chair out into a lawn to try and elevate myself for a big group portrait. And of course the folding chair just folded right up with me on it, and down I went. Luckily it was on grass and not anything else, but yeah, definitely be careful with that stuff.
I'll share one more quick almost falling story. I was on a ladder, the 6-foot A-frame ladders, and it always says don't go beyond like the top 2 steps or something like that, right? Well, I needed just a little bit more room to get this family shot, so I climb all the way up to the very, very top, right? And I'm up there and I get the family shot, and then I felt like I was starting to fall, and so obviously when you try to jump off a ladder like that, the ladder goes one way and you really don't go anywhere. But for some reason, Dan, I have no idea what was going through my mind. For some reason, as I'm jumping off this ladder, basically falling, I like lifted up my legs as if I was like had a skateboard underneath my feet or something. You know what I mean? And then when I came down, I totally sprained my ankle. Of course, I'm like, oh, I'm good, like I'm fine. But my ankle just killed for a couple of weeks after that. So,
all right,
if you are gonna fall, don't do the skateboard move.
Don't do the skateboard trick. Don't do the skateboard trick. Here's we talk a lot about in this group, I know, using like shooting through glass and using reflections and things like that. This is one of my favorite photographers. Do you know Robin and Renee? This is Renee from R2 Studio, and they got married in Hawaii, and so that was a big part of their wedding was the location.
Yeah.
And just sort of, she was about to get her makeup on, and I just loved the way her face looked, and so I went outside the room, threw a flash with a grid on it up in the corner, and tried to get as much reflection of her view as possible. And I just love this portrait of Renee before her wedding.
Yeah, just to reemphasize, R2 Studios, they're out of Arizona. Robin and Renee, they are awesome. Their work is fantastic.
Yeah, Yeah, it's really amazing. And then when they ask you to be their wedding photographer, and you're like, are you sure you're talking to the right guy? Like, there's lots of other folks, but it was such an honor to be there with them, and their work is really outstanding.
That's awesome, Dan. Hey, Bob
Yeah.
Davis was wondering, he says, on these shoots, when you're shooting through objects, do you find objects on location to shoot through, or do you typically bring your own stuff?
No, I always think about, oh, I'm going to bring my own stuff to this particular wedding just for fun to try and shoot through it, and then either I forget or I leave it in my car. And so when I shoot through stuff, it's usually always either at the venue, whether it's a chandelier on the or a centerpiece or a chandelier or something like that.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, no, that's a great question because, like I said, I always think about, oh yeah, I'm going to do that this time, and then I forget.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
here's one more question from Chris Werner. He says, do you sometimes find that you have to manually focus on subjects when shooting through windows?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially when shooting at that time that you and I talked about loving to shoot at when it's real dark outside. What I like to do, everyone has a cell phone on them at all times, and so I just tell them take your cell phone out, turn on the flashlight, and use that to shine light on your face, right, until I get my focus, and then put that flashlight down, and then I can shoot and do that. So either if they don't have their own cell phone handy, I always give them mine and say, hey, just use this to light up your face with while I get my focus right.
Yeah.
This takes a minute. Yeah.
Love it, Dan. And sorry for all the questions, but one more from Jenna. She says, what lens are you using in this shot? Do you remember what? Oh, you know what though, Jenna. Her question popped up now, but she could be watching something we saw earlier too. But
Yeah.
tell us what you're using in this shot,
The
anyways.
lens I typically use is a good question. When I was a photojournalist, I used a lot of zooms, a lot, just because I didn't know if I'd have access or where I could move to. So I use a lot of zooms. I don't use a lot of primes. So 24 to 70, 70 to 200, or sort of my go-tos. I do now carry an 85 with me everywhere I go, but this one would have been the 24 to 70. As with most, I really also love the 16 to 35. For really super wide stuff if I can. That's pretty much it.
Very cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Dan, I've kept you on here a long time. Is there any images that we haven't talked about that maybe you want to close with?
Let me see. Let me just look through here and see if there's anything that we didn't talk about. No, I guess that's pretty much all of them. I'll leave you with a picture of my niece. Ready? Here's my niece for her senior portraits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're quite an uncle.
Yeah, right. I know. So now that the world has seen this picture now, now we were in Hawaii, and I told her I'd snap a few for her senior portraits, and the waves were splashing up behind them. So I have a mag sphere. My wife is actually holding it off camera, off out of the frame, and the waves kept coming up behind her, and I could just see it that it was about to hit. So
instead of saying, "Hey, wait, come back this way," you're like, "I'm gonna wait right now. Take the shot."
exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Oh, too fun, man.
Yeah.
Hey, you got people saying, "I want more." Keep going. It's in fact, Facebook actually sent me a little thing that said, "Congratulations, this is your most liked live video yet." So
No way.
I guess you get a trophy. We're gonna send some balloons and a marching band to your house.
I think it's just good timing, right? Everyone's at work and they're bored, so it's good on our part.
Good work as well. Hey, Bob Davis has one more question for you with regards to being a photojournalist. He said he did that for 25 years. He was curious where you did your photojournalism at. Was that in El Paso or where was it at?
No, I worked for a little while in the state of Missouri. I worked in the capital in Jeff City. I worked in Hannibal, Missouri, and then I worked at a daily just outside of Houston, down on the Gulf Coast in Brazoria County, called the Facts newspaper. And tell Bob, if you're listening still, I think you and I shot the World Series together in 2005 in Houston.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice gig right there to do.
Not terrible not terrible at all. So yeah.
That's really cool, Dan. Well, Dan, man, we super appreciate it. I in the very beginning, I forgot to ask you where people can find out more information. Tell us where your website is, your Instagram, your Facebook, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Website super easy, dandalstra.com. And check that out. It's pretty groovy. And Instagram is Dan_Dalstra on Instagram. What else do I have? I guess that's it. I got the Twitter, but I hardly ever use it.
Yeah. You got the Twitter. Sounds like a disease.
Right? I call it the Twitter, but so that's a pretty good place to find me. Those two, and then on Facebook, it's so funny. Facebook is so weird. Like I have a Facebook business page, but I'll post a picture and get 3 likes there, and then 150 likes on my regular personal. So just Facebook is I don't even know what is my Facebook. It's just Dan Dalstra, I guess. You see me on there. So
yeah, awesome. Well, guys, stay tuned. Like Dan said in the beginning, he has some cool things coming out, and I don't know. We'll say a couple months. That way, if it comes out sooner, then people will be ready for it. Who knows?
Sounds good.
Dan, you I don't know if you still have the video on your website, but you used to have the video. The most interesting guy in the world, or most interesting photographer. Do you still have that?
Yeah, it's you hit my website and go to the About Me section. It's on there. It's so funny. In another photography group, we were talking about promo videos. So you have a promo video, and like sure, I have a promo video. It's 15 seconds long, and I posted it, and someone said, "Short, to the point, hilarious, done. What else do you need?" Right? So it's.
Yeah. Well, if you guys haven't seen it, go check it out. dandalstra.com and seriously, appreciate it, man. Appreciate you doing this. I know, like I said, 3 weeks ago or something, we tried to do it. We had some technical difficulties. I appreciate you giving us a chance to do it again, because I know a lot of people were inspired by it and learned a lot. So thank you so much, Dan.
Really an honor. I really am thankful for you guys and everything you're doing over there. And Trevor, just you as a person, an amazing guy. I've known you for a long time, and it's always a pleasure to get to see you.
I'll send you your bonus in PayPal, man.
Thanks, man.
Hey, thanks so much, Dan. And thanks everyone for tuning in, you guys. Again, you can catch all these on YouTube. We put the replays up there as well as in the MagMod community. So there's been a lot of great ones. I think this is probably our 7th or 8th that we've done. So if you haven't seen the previous ones, check them out. There's a lot of good information there. So thanks again, Dan. Appreciate it, man.
All right.